All right, YouTube, the day of reckoning has been coming for 4 years now. I've not done a Destiny raid tier list since Spire of Stars release, which was back in May of 2018. It is now 2022. I'm about retired with 8 grandkids, ready to reflect back on some raids. The last one, if I recall correctly, my opinions were so hot that 40% of the people that watched that video disliked it. I think it's good now that we've gotten a few more raids to reassess the situation and see how we're feeling on all these raids. Hey, you. Yeah, you. You're probably a lazy gamer just like me and have fallen victim of ordering hundreds of dollars worth of fast food that is not good for you to your door every month. I know it's convenient to have those meals ready to go right to your door as soon as you get them, but I'm here to tell you that there is another option. Factor meals provide a variety of nutritious, restaurant-quality meals that come straight to your door. All you have to do is heat them up and you're ready to go. I don't have the time or patience to cook most of the time either, so I totally understand wanting something that's ready to go whenever you need it. Factor is also a good way to be conscious of what you're feeding your body, because if you give it good nutrients, you're going to feel good while you're gaming, you're going to have a lot more energy, versus if you ordered fast food that you know you shouldn't be ordering, you're going to have that instant gratification for about 5 seconds, then you're going to feel like crap for the rest of the night, and you're just going to want to sleep. The food menu options change every single week, so you won't get bored of the same old meals. They also have meals that are catering to things like Calorie Smart, vegan, vegetarian, keto, if that's any of your concern. If you guys want to check it out for yourself, use code POGSWEATCICLE120 for $120 off at the link below in the description. Thank you again to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to it. Vault of Glass. Now this is hard because we've had this raid twice. Why is chat saying F? Because they can't clear master? Probably. I was gonna give it an A. Honestly, it was the first raid ever. They knocked it out of the park as far as, like, again, new mechanics at the time. You had the shield. There was a reason to do it more than once. Like, it was fun to do. Maybe that was just because of the new factor. The one thing I didn't really like about VOG and D1 was how long confluxes were. Dude, oracles used to be hell too, because oracles used to be 7 rounds. That encounter used to take like 10 plus minutes is what it felt like. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to go back and look, but that was also, I got my first Galahorn in Vault of Glass. It took a hot minute, but as far as Destiny 1 goes, it gets an A. And I'd say the same thing for Destiny 2, because they finally added hard mode back, or master mode. And I think as far as all the master modes that we've had in Destiny 2, I think VOG probably did it best. Vision of Confluence, Fatebringer's nasty, Found Verdict was the best PvE shotgun in D1. Crota, where would I put Crota? Crota was just, it was fun to do, even if the loot wasn't the greatest. The only thing that people really cared about, at least right off the rip, were Black Hammer and Hunger of Crota. I'd maybe give it a B. The last encounter's fun to do. It's nothing crazy, it's short, sweet, to the point. Oh, I will say Glowhu is one of the best shaders they ever made. C for Crota. Yeah, I mean, it was really easy. I might have to agree with you here. I think we might have to move Crota to C. It felt like it was missing the special sauce. The way I judge these raids in my head is like my very first playthrough, how repeatable it was, how good was the loot, did it have anything like special about it, obviously how long it takes and like the difficulty of it. Honestly, like if most people who are just Destiny 2 raiders were to go back and try and do Crota on hard mode, they'd probably get slapped upside the head for a little bit. You can't crutch healing abilities in Crota, bro. You can't. You had to make sure someone was on oversoul duty too. I guess that puts us to King's Fall. If anybody says S in chat, you're getting permanently banned. I feel like people are purely judging it off the length rather than the whole experience itself. So let's think about it. Like, the armor was really cool. The weapons looked cool, but most of them were awful. Touch of Malice was really cool. King's Fall had better weapon mechanics and was difficult because you actually had to have people who knew what to do. Now that was D1 in general. That wasn't just King's Fall. Totem's encounter was basically just like sitting for like 5 minutes, and that encounter was just not fun. I'm all about things being difficult, but like, it's like one death is like, unless you know how to like sword block and 2-man the side, it's like, that's basically just a wipe. Obviously, I think the biggest reason people liked it is just because of how good the story tied into it. But the Oryx encounter itself is so monotonous. It's got good depth to it, where it's got a bunch of things going on. Like running around in circles and climbing and grabbing the spark or whatever it is at the top was just like, it wasn't that fun to do 4 times. The one thing I really would have liked to have seen with Oryx, instead of it just being a set 4 phase, an actual damage phase while like, so you detonate you detonate the bombs. Then when Oryx becomes vulnerable, you actually do damage, and that damage takes away from the health bar. Like, maybe you get like a super small damage window, or maybe they extend it a little bit, but the skill gap of the player could progress the encounter faster the more times you do it if you are knowledgeable enough. I'm gonna sit on this, but for right now, I'm gonna put King's Fall at a B. War Priest is one of my favorite encounters they ever made. Golgoroth, also really cool. I think the weapons could have been better, and I think they could have improved upon Totems and Oryx itself. Guys, listen. Take a look. You guys know what Axis looks like, right? The top half of Axis is the Archon Priest. I don't know if it's actually him, but it's like, obviously it looks the exact same.
You're gonna put King's Fall at B, but you're gonna put Wrath at S?
S tier, no questions. The music fit the vibe perfectly throughout the entire thing. The raid was very active. It required players to play very on top of their toes. You needed to have good damage. You needed to be aware of your placement and what's going on around you. Death Zamboni, absolute classic. One of the only encounters to this day, not boss-based, that is still incredibly fun to do no matter how many times you do it. So there's something special about the access room and the way that it's designed. Like, it's not too big, it's not too small. If you have 6 people in there, you have to have, people need to understand what they need to do when they're empowered, because if you miss a slam, that's GG, and then the whole team is mad at you. On top of the loot just being sick as well. The weapons weren't the best thing in the world, unfortunately. That's the one thing that the raid lacks. You had things like Nano Phoenix, Weldfire, and then you had the Outbreak puzzle inside of there too. That was huge. The best looking armor, let's keep it a $150 here. That was the best raid armor they ever made. It looks so good. Now, here's the most important point and why this is up here and not here. When you're doing this raid, you acquire Siva nanite fragments. You can get them by dismantling the armor, I believe, and by just doing encounters. Those Siva nanite fragments allowed you to not only get bonus drops in the raid, they allowed you to re-roll your armor. What happened to that, bro? That was the best raid armor system we've ever had. My boy, Callus the cutie. Yep, C for Callus. I mean, what do we say about this raid? It's so hard to judge this because of when it came out. The game was so different. We had the double primary system and supers were different. And the raid was just, it was pretty mediocre. Dogs was one of the things I appreciated most about it. Dogs, like the hunter and prey scenario, I thought that was a really cool mechanic. And Gauntlet. I'm so conflicted on Gauntlet because, like, it's a cool idea in theory. The encounter itself was kind of buggy and just not fun. I think instead of doing it 3 times, they should have just made you do it twice and then do the final round. And then this happened. Oh boy. You know, maybe I'll be generous and give this a D. Maybe I'll be generous. Hopscotch at the beginning. Like, okay. That was like, I get it. Like, okay, we're going into the raid. But it was obnoxiously long. After playing Hopscotch, they throw us into a patrol encounter where we're killing Cabal coming down on ships. The loot was... Bro, can we talk about the Titan set for a second? What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say? What I like to call the nipples encounter, where the colorful nipples show up on Argos' shield. It's just kind of meh. It's just walking around killing ads, and it's literally the easy bake oven encounter. You cook the cranium, you shoot the nipple. Argos itself wasn't awful, but he just kind of stands there. It feels really stale. You have a boss that sits in the middle, that just kind of blasts you with a cannon, is very static. You're in a condensed area. What weapons even dropped from Eater? I can't even name them. It just sucks, because I really feel like there should be more feedback to give, but that was the entirety of the raid. It just wasn't fun. Prestige, when Prestige dropped for these guys, for both of these, good fucking lord, I hope we never see that again. Modifiers and raids do not belong there. They do not belong other than contests. That's the only thing that belongs in raids. Alright, Spire of Stars. I would probably give Spire a C. It was another pretty short raid, but at least the boss fight was kind of fun. I know people didn't really enjoy, like, throwing balls around the whole time, but it was so much better than whatever this was. I feel like, you know what the first encounter reminds me of is, like, whenever you, like, meet a new group of people and they make you sit down and, like, pass the ball around, they pass the ball to you and you go,
My favorite color is blue, and I like Cheetos.
And then it was jumping puzzle and then boss room. The boss arena for Val was pretty cool. It wasn't too big, wasn't too small. Doing damage on day one was kind of tricky though. Eventually you just kind of learned where to do it, especially when Well came around, then nothing mattered. But I don't know, at least initially this guy was a challenge, man. You really had to like time your melting points, and he actually shot back. Again, another unfortunate scenario though of like the loot was kind of awful, except for they gave us an emote with this raid that I remember. The only thing keeping it from going here is like the boss encounter is actually pretty good. All right, do I even need to say it? I'm gonna get called biased either way. I actually have never done this raid before. Scourge of the Past. All right, where are we gonna put Scourge? All right, this is gonna be a hot take and a half. People are gonna hate me for this one, but I'm gonna put Last Wish at the C tier. Before I hear any in chat that you guys got debated. All right, man, where do I start with this raid? Obviously the day one was a wild ride. And I wish more day ones were like, of that hype, maybe not that difficulty. The one thing I really appreciate about this raid is like when it started, you're right into the first boss. It wasn't like, and that's something that they've started to continue to do, which is cool. Just the raw mechanics alone of there being like different stuff. I know the Taken Gun was the Taken Gun new at this point, or was that reused? I can't remember. The entirety of Last Wish is new mechanics as far as I can remember. It wasn't just like one mechanic, which you get with like a lot of raids that they reused the whole time. Last Wish encompassed a bunch of different things at once, and it was very dynamic. Like, Riven legit is probably the best raid encounter they've ever made. Unfortunately, most people didn't get to experience that because Bungie got lazy and decided not to fix the cheese. They kind of debated at the end when you think the boss is dead, then you have Queen's Walk. Insane raid. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever see anything like it again. I really like Scourge. I didn't like it at first. I hated the raid. Anarchy, one of the coolest weapons they ever made. The rest of the weapons were okay too. The best Sparrow in the game, which I don't understand why they won't make other Sparrows like it. Always on time is 17% faster than every other Sparrow in the game. I'll say it a million times. The whole map concept where it was like guiding through the city was very ominous and cool, and it was just fun to fly around because Destiny's based on movement, right? And the tank encounter was kind of boring though, I will say. Really cool flying boss mech, and kind of guiding around the arena to know where what do they call them? Like the Berserkers or something like that. It was a really unique damage thing that we've never really seen before, where you had to like buddy up. So you had to buddy up, make sure you're not too close, not too far, and adjust accordingly to get good damage. A raid layer should look like, in my opinion. Okay, Crown of Sorrow. Guys, this is another like Eater of Worlds case where like the beginning was just awful. I'm gonna put it here. You get to the boss room and things start to even out. Like the armor and the weapons were actually pretty good. What started the damage phase again? Was it after all the Ogies were dead? You had to have Galron slam kill each of the smaller Galrons. I thought that was kind of cool. That slam mechanic was a really big saver for me, because the rest of it just kind of felt, again, lacking inspiration. Overall, pretty good raid though. I don't have a ton of complaints other than the first encounter just sucked. It was really bad. Okay, this thing. Oh boy. So I heard you guys like Gambit. I wanted to give it a D, but I think I'm gonna give it a C, and that's for one reason. The first encounter was actually good. Honestly, that's the other thing I will give it to. The div quest was super fun and super unique. Getting max power in this season was awful because 90% of the pinnacle drops were energies. The weapons were good, the hand cannon was good, the pulse rifle still is good, I think. Yeah, there was no heavy. There was literally no heavy. Then you get into the second encounter, it just felt like almost like a worse version of totems. And then we go to the harpy encounter. We start picking up motes, dude. We love Gambit. Is there anything good about the boss? I really just didn't like the design of it, to be honest with you. Like, I'm gonna be a hot take. I wasn't the biggest fan of the music from Garden. I think Shadowkeep is the worst soundtrack. All right, so this is one of the only things that made me enjoy Garden day one, was watching this clip. So this was during our world's first attempt. So we're sitting here trying to do damage, and this happened. Here, and I'll move chat so you can see the look on Mr. Modern's face, bro. Here, I'll slow it down for you guys. You ready? Okay, this guy Tanix. Probably put it like right here. Seeing our boy Tanix for the 5th time is kind of underwhelming, but the thing that I really appreciate about this raid and like the shining star was Atrax. Winter Storm into like this Braytech laboratory, which is kind of cool. You kind of have to figure out, you have to juggle these like 3 buffs. It kind of reminded me of Scourge, but like there was actually a purpose behind these 3 different things that you were picking up. And then you move to Atrax. I know it's much easier now than it was, but that was a real team synergy check if there ever was one. Yeah, just getting damage for that and being coordinated for like how fast it almost kind of reminded me of Axis is what Atrax almost reminds me of. How many pop up? Like 12 of them up top, and then you have to kind of run around and try and explain to the team like which one of the 12 it's gonna be. It's like, then we go into the descent. The descent was cool because you got this like falling, crashing ship. It was also interesting because suppressor wasn't introduced until that encounter, so you had like these 2 things that you had learned, and then they added another one on top of it. So I thought that was another cool layer of depth that they added. Tanix is just, it's a solid boss fight. It's nothing special, to be honest with you. It's just not my favorite boss fight. I don't really know what to say about it. Like, the weapons from the raid were actually pretty good, especially the shotgun. The slug shotgun was insane. Vow of the Disciple. Nah, chat, it can't get an A. So here's the thing. It's a good raid, but it has its flaws. What is the beginning encounter? It's 8 minutes of you picking up sticks. I almost think that the entrance to Vow is worse than the Crown of Sorrow entrance. We're moving past that. The raid gets better after that. For all these other raids, if you're gonna have like an entrance thing, it usually kind of teaches you something useful that you're actually gonna reuse, but it didn't. We've seen symbols a million times, and I'm not expecting symbols to go away by any means, but there were no new relics. Because we've done this before where we like shoot a panel of 3 things. We've done that before in Gauntlet. Like it isn't a new concept necessarily. Caretaker environment, super cool. You have this multi-level arena. I mean, he's just kind of like, he looks really cool, right? He's like a big hooded mastermind, you know? Wait, I take that back. So I guess you do kind of reuse the beginning mechanic in Caretaker, because you have to go pick up the symbols with the sticks. The one part I don't like about Caretaker, and I really think this has no place in raids, is health gating. Pretty cool jumping puzzle. It honestly reminded me of King's Fault. I don't know what everybody else thought, but that's the vibe that I got from it. You know, I'm gonna be honest, like I wouldn't even consider the little pyramid thing a new relic. They took a Vex cranium, made it infinite ammo, and turned it into a little Dorito. Was there like a really new item other than, I will give credit to the Rolk encounter, and we're getting there. That was like the only thing that really felt new out of everything. Rolk, which is literally the crown jewel of the whole raid, which why I think it's the reason most people want it in A. The rest of the raid does not support it being in the A tier category. It just doesn't. Especially if King's Fall is down here, bro. No way. But like once you get up to the damage arena, it's super cool. You have to break his swords. You have to kind of figure out where to go. You kind of have to like, it's kind of like the Jabate encounter. Like you're 6 of you are sitting there bullying the boss, like debating him around to try and slam these things and punch him in his weak spots until you piss him off, and then it's damage time. They did a really good job with Rolk. I think we can all agree that it was a really good boss fight, and they need more dynamic bosses like that. The exotic was kind of a letdown. The rest of the weapons from the raid were really good though. The GL is insane. The SMG is nuts. Why'd you move Wrath down? I just don't think it's fair to put these next to each other. I don't. Let me know what you think of the list. I know some people are gonna be upset about King's Fall, but again, I'm more than willing to change things if it comes into Destiny 2 and they fix some of the issues and the weapons are a little bit better. Particularly, my main thing is that Oryx encounter, bro. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe. We'll see you next time.